Visualize perfection, freshly picked ingredients, tantalizing flavors, sweet and sour intertwine, and dance into your glass. One-of-a-kind arrangements, hitting every note. Why wait for the weekend? It's on at the grill.
When people are fed, futures are nourished. They can connect with the world around them, unlock endless possibilities, and thrive. Join the movement to end hunger. Volunteer. Advocate. Donate. Go to feedingamerica.org/act now.
I know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that we can get help. Let's see how far we can go. Love, your mind.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Well, welcome to Mississippi Live Weather at 5. I am so thankful that you could tune in for not only this 5 o'clock show, but y'all's Friday evening show. So I appreciate y'all holding off on any start of the weekend plans y'all have. It has been a great day here in North Mississippi. We have finally got us some long-awaited rainfall. Maybe a little bit too much in some areas with those localized downpours, but we have definitely seen some rainfall today, but thankfully it is clearing out at the perfect time. And as I just mentioned, that rain clearing up just in time. We have our Friday night football game starting to kick off soon within the next hour or so. And of course, our meteorologist Gabe Maynard will be out there covering the game of the week out in South Pontotoc. So thankfully, those conditions kind of moved a little bit ahead of schedule, cleared out all of that moisture in those rain batches. Thankfully, we're seeing drier conditions as we continue into the evening. But those dry conditions will return not only into this evening, but into our Saturday as well. But notice I put briefly, we will start seeing those rain chances not only return at the end of our weekend, but also into the next work week as well. We're starting to see better conditions return as we get closer and closer to fall. But let's take a live look out here across North Mississippi, out in Aberdeen. You can start seeing those cloudy skies moving on through, still seeing those gray clouds, but also starting to see those blue skies start popping up as well. So we have definitely seen very overcast conditions across North Mississippi and very rainy conditions, but thankfully those dry conditions, I keep saying conditions, are coming back into play here in North Mississippi. But taking a look at the first 12, we still have a 20% chance of rainfall, especially with a second batch moving across the Mississippi River as we speak and into the Delta, which I know y'all are definitely wanting to see even more rainfall. Y'all got one of the first batches earlier this morning, getting some more rainfall as we continue into the evening. But we will start seeing drier conditions across North Mississippi as we continue into the evening as well, cooling off by the mid 70s around 9 o'clock, low 70s by the time we reach midnight, and then finally into the upper 60s as well, maybe seeing some patchy fog. But as I mentioned, Gabe's out there in South Pontotoc right now. I know one week we had stormy conditions. Last week we were sweltering hot, and earlier today we had rainy conditions. What's it looking like right now?
Well, as perfect as you can get for a summer forecast, Caleb. I mean, it is comfortable. Luckily, some of that rain-cooled air from what we experienced earlier, keeping those temperatures on the, dare I say, cooler side for a summer day. The last Friday night in summer before that fall season kicks in, and we are live in South Pontotoc at Cougar Field, where South Pontotoc will be taking on Okolona here in the next couple of hours. Now, I do want to say tonight is a big night. Why, do you ask? Well, if you see behind my shoulder right there, folks, let me see if I can line it up. Somewhere right there. I have a little window right here, but I think it's right there. Folks are taking pictures for homecoming. Homecoming court is out and about and enjoying the great weather as well. We say we need dry conditions to play some football. Well, we need dry pictures to get dry conditions to get pictures done, and homecoming court doing exactly that. But I know that it is time for our game of the week, and we will be out here in South Pontotoc, but we also want to tell you guys, you still have a responsibility, and that is submitting your votes for your Spirit Squad of the Week and for your Band of the Week. Still, those votes, I mean, it's going to take a Tom Brady-esque comeback, but I've seen stranger things, and it's definitely possible. But South Pontotoc, you need your vote submitted so that way you can compete and possibly win Band of the Week and Spirit Squad of the Week. Keep in mind, that vote is not over until the end of our 6 o'clock broadcast. But stands right now empty, but I'm sure that will not be the case coming up in the next hour, 2 hours or so, as folks are excited for that homecoming game to kick off. So Caleb, I know that it's been as ideal of conditions as it can be compared to what we saw earlier, but as a person who was driving in that Tupelo storm earlier on today, I will take some overcast skies with a little bit of blue peeking right there. So
100%.
it's much more enjoyable. But live at our Game of the Week forecast, meteorologist Gabe Maynor, Mississippi Live Weather.
Well, we appreciate that, Gabe. I was going to mention I appreciate seeing those blue skies in the background as well, just showcasing the difference of weather that we had earlier. We know as Mississippians never to expect what's going to happen. It changes all the time, and we experience all 4 seasons regardless of the day. But taking a look at Mississippi Live Weather Radar, we are starting to see drier conditions for most of us here in North Mississippi. Notice I said most of us. We still see this second batch coming in across the Mississippi River and into the Delta. That is the most meaningful rainfall we can see right now. We already had those pretty hefty, some intense storms move on through North Mississippi. Some were warned as a severe thunderstorm warning. We've had some flood advisories as well. But as of right now, nothing's really organized, just some heavy downpours moving in towards Cleveland and Clarksdale and the Delta. Definitely some well-welcomed rain out here. But speaking of flood advisories, this is a flash flood warning out in Franklin that got issued, I believe, just an hour ago. So that will expire hopefully within the next few minutes. As of right now, expiring around 5:30. Not expecting that to get extended. That rainfall already moved on through, definitely gave it some hefty downpours earlier this evening, but that is pretty much the only warning we have across North Mississippi. Starting to see those drier conditions take place here in North Mississippi. But let's take a look at that temperature change. That rainfall was responsible for this drastic decrease in temperatures. As I always mention, I love seeing the color blue when we talk about temperatures because that means we are going in the right direction, especially during the summer months. But you can see pretty much double-digit temperature change, almost pushing 20 out there in Clarksdale and Cleveland. Y'all are getting that second batch of moisture. Y'all got one earlier this morning, but getting that second one right now. So definitely a benefit of getting all that rain-cooled air pushed into North Mississippi. But let's take a look at Futurecast showing that last batch of moisture moving in across the Mississippi River into the Greenville and the Delta. But you're going to notice it's not as impactful and meaningful as the first batch that we had, pretty much just staying out in the Delta and almost evaporating and staying pretty dry as we continue into the evening. This is around midnight, 12:30. You can see not many rain showers affecting us here in North Mississippi. So for most Friday night football games, you should be good to go and should have drier conditions, especially the further on into the game that you can go. But taking a look at those early AM hours, we're seeing mostly clear conditions before we start getting towards our Saturday morning. But that's if you want to wake up early to see those clear conditions. It's Saturday morning. It is the weekend. So it will be a beautiful start to our Saturday morning nonetheless. But that will be pretty much the extent of our action as we continue into the evening overnight hours into our Saturday. But taking a look at the next 24, you can see we might start off with some patchy fog, as we start off our Saturday due to all that rain-cooled air making its way through our area. But then we will definitely warm back up into the low 90s, eventually maybe mid 90s for some of us before cooling back off. And we will see mostly dry conditions across our region for our Saturday. But before you go, I know we have our commercial break coming up in just 1 minute, but I wanted to show you these pictures that our meteorologist Gabe Maynor took on his way to the TV station earlier. This was taken off of Highway 45 from Barnes Crossing to the I-22 exit. You can definitely see it wasn't necessarily a severe day by any means, but we had some lofty and hefty winds move across North Mississippi, even some hail as well. This was a sign that y'all definitely see driving across the highway, pretty much blown over as he was making his way to this TV station earlier. You can even see part of it in the road as well. Taking a look at some other pictures, this was something we learned as well. Apparently those interstate symbols and signs that you see on the big green, I guess, highway signs, those are apparently can come off. I thought they were painted on, but apparently it is its own thing and can definitely be blown off with some hefty winds. So you can see that started making its way into the road as well. And you can see part of that green sign as well. This next picture shows that car is trying to avoid it as well. Just ending up on the road and just something that you never want to see, but just part of the wind risk that we can have with these storms. But thankfully nothing was too severe here in North Mississippi. But wanted to give y'all a look at those pictures that our meteorologist Gabe Maynor took out in the field. But of course, coming up in 1 minute, I'm gonna give you an in-depth look on what the rest of your Friday evening looks like and what to expect coming up for this weekend, coming up in 1 minute.
When you've been injured, don't settle for a lawyer who doesn't even know where you live. Call Langston and Lott. Local lawyers, personal service, real results.
You may see a teen struggling to find his way. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we see a teen gaining the confidence and skills to land his first job. Kids today need people to see their potential and help them achieve it. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we do whatever it takes to help kids succeed. Because when we see young people, we see limitless possibilities. Do you? Join us, Boys and Girls Clubs. Great future.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Caleb Edelblut.
Well, thanks for sticking here with us at Mississippi Live Weather at 5. Taking a look at our Weather Watchers pictures. This was sent in by Teresa. I believe she said this was off of Highway 45 or Interstate 22, looking out in Tupelo. This was sent in by Teresa out there. It's just showing the downpours that we received earlier on today. I believe she said this was a gully wash, was her term, which is definitely rightfully so with how extreme of a downpour that Tupelo received. So we appreciate you, Teresa, sending in these pictures. We appreciate all the eyes in the field, especially for days like this, so we can see what is going on out there and better understand what we are talking about as we continue into those evening hours with these rain chances. But taking a look out of Tupelo right now, those rain chances have definitely moved on out, still replaced with those overcast, gray, cloudy skies. 81 degrees though. That is the story. I know, especially during this work week, we have not seen 81 degrees by the time we're starting off our 5 o'clock broadcast. So definitely a little bit cooler. Feels like 84 still, some slight mugginess with that rain, but definitely not as bad as those summer values have shown us. But take a look at the high school game of the week presented by Casey Lott. We are seeing better conditions than what were previously known, saying that rain moved a little bit ahead of schedule, thankfully moved on out, especially for some homecoming games that Gabe's at right now. But still, 20% chance of rain for those, especially on the Delta, trying to kick off some Friday night football games, but those rain chances are going to continue into halftime as well before we start getting back towards those drier conditions the further on into the game you go as well. But like Gabe mentioned earlier, he is at the South Pontotoc game, not only the football game, but also homecoming, and he'll give us the latest on that right now.
Thanks, Gabe, and welcome to another edition of Comeyer's Corner. We are hanging out at Tupelo High School. Yes, the blue field behind me, home of the #1 ranked team in the state, the Tupelo Golden Wave, who left a little over an hour ago to head to Oxford to take on another 3-0 team, another highly ranked team in the Chargers. Tupelo head coach Ty Harden, caught up with him before they got on the bus here today. And I said, what's it going to come down to tonight? And to see if his team can extend that current winning streak to now 18 games if they could get a win tonight. And he said it's going to who dictates the tempo. Chris Cutcliffe, Oxford's fine head coach, is going to try to speed things up. They've got a terrific quarterback in Drew Dean. Ty Harden calls him the most underrated quarterback in the state. He averages right at 300 yards passing per game. He can beat you also with his legs. Of course, Tupelo on the other side likes to play physical, and they're going to try to slow things down a little bit. So who's going to win that battle of tempo could decide who's going to win tonight's game. Also, some other interesting high school football matchups. There's a lot of them around the state, besides, of course, our game of the week there at South Pontotoc. But how about Louisville and Starkville renewing that rivalry? 83rd time that these two have battled each other. Louisville has had the upper hand as of late in that series. And then there's Calhoun City, the #1 ranked team in the state in 1A. They travel to take on a highly ranked team in 4A, Senatobia, both teams 3-0. That one would be one to keep an eye out for as well. And then just right down the road, we were at Shannon High School a couple Fridays ago, and the Red Raiders tonight host Noxubee County. Noxubee County coming off a tough loss last week to West Point, and both those teams are 2-1. And of course, Shannon's only loss this year was to a very good Louisville team. So those are a couple of high school games to keep an eye out for. Of course, next Friday night will be the game of the week, not only in Mississippi, but probably all over one of the top in the Southeast as West Point comes calling. The Green Wave are actually off this week, so they'll have 2 weeks to prepare for the Tupelo Golden Wave. That's the story now here at 5 o'clock. At 6 o'clock, we'll take a look at the college games, and we'll check out Will's winners for this week. But right now, that's the story here from Tupelo High School.
Well, thank you, Will. So sorry for the technical difficulties with Gabe. He will be back for the 6 o'clock, definitely giving us the latest update out there at the game of the week in South Pontotoc. But I'm going to give a little ahead of schedule with those SEC football forecasts before Will gives us his picks and facts for these games, we can look at the weather for it. And for Mississippi State, another home game out there in Starkville, y'all are starting off with beautiful conditions, pretty much keeping it the whole time for y'all's game, starting off around 92 degrees and then eventually cooling back off into the mid 80s by the time you reach that final snap. Only bad thing with those afternoon games, you just have to embrace those warmer conditions. Same thing out here in Oxford, another 2:30 game out there in Oxford, starting off around 90 degrees, pretty much staying in those low 90s before finally maybe seeing some upper 80s appear by the time y'all are walking out of the stadium and enjoying the rest of y'all Saturday evening. But taking a look at Futurecast for Friday evening, you can see that batch of moisture still making its way into North Mississippi, pretty much crossing the Mississippi River, entering the Delta, and that will pretty much stay out in the Delta. It doesn't really advance much further into our the rest of North Mississippi. Still some random showers trying to continue to give some last minute effort out in the Delta, but for most of North Mississippi, we will stay dry, allowing for perfect football weather as we wrap up our Friday and the work week. Taking a look at this as we continue into the evening AM hours and our early morning hours for our Saturday, pretty much mostly clear conditions will be the story. So for anyone that still needs to get up early for their Saturday, you will see beautiful conditions that morning. Taking a look at our low temperatures, still pretty much above average for our viewing area. 67 degrees out in the Golden Triangle region, but pretty much just mid 60s across the entire viewing area. So definitely a warm start and ahead of schedule for our Saturday. Taking a look back at Futurecast, those mostly clear conditions will continue as we continue into our Saturday, but that cloud cover will start building in just a little bit, some more moisture building up just a little bit as we continue into our Saturday. But as we get closer towards the afternoon, this has been the trend we've seen throughout our work week. We start seeing maybe little, what I like to call bubbles of showers popping up, no real organization or a line moving through, just that daytime heating, allowing for some storms to try to pop up across North Mississippi. So for most of us, we will stay dry for our Saturday, but we can see some of these bubbles just starting to pop up across our viewing area. It's not saying just west of Clarksdale at 6 o'clock, you will see a hefty downpour, just giving you an estimate on where we can start seeing some of this rainfall as we continue into our Saturday. But those temperatures, that rainfall definitely not helping us at all. We are still definitely above average, pretty much mid 90s across most of our viewing area. Red Bay coming in around 90, Iuka 91, but you can see 96 out there in Greenwood, Belzona, and Greenville. So still very warm and toasty out here across North Mississippi. And those heat indices not helping us out either, but also not soaring us up into the upper 90s. We're leaving that summertime mugginess behind as we get closer towards that fall weather. But taking a look back at Futurecast, you still see those bubbles of showers still affecting North Mississippi. But as we continue into Saturday night and into Sunday early morning hours, we're back to seeing those dry conditions return for our Sunday morning. Pretty much most of our moisture will be cloud cover, some just really pesky showers trying to give some rainfall all night long. Definitely nothing severe. Probably won't hear lightning or not hear lightning, hear thunder, see any flashes. But here we go. This is the rainfall I was talking about for our Sunday. I think this is a little bit, I say, ahead of schedule for this model. I don't think we see these rain showers until we get later into the afternoon and early evening hours. But Sunday, we definitely see a more improved chance of rain as we wrap up our weekend. Those rain bubbles are really going to just continue and stick with us all of Sunday evening and pretty much stay pretty hefty around those dinner time hours around 6 o'clock. They're going to continue pushing out of North Mississippi to where we'll see drier conditions, but even for our counties out there in Alabama and Marion, Lamar, and even some of Franklin County, you could see some very wet conditions as you continue and wrap up your Sunday evening around Sunday at 10 o'clock before we start seeing drier conditions come into play overnight into the early hours of our Monday morning. But taking a look at those highs, this is why I think this is more of a kind of late afternoon evening. We are still getting that peak heating during the day, still above average, pretty much mid 90s across most of North Mississippi. 89 degrees out there in Red Bay, that is still the place to be, and Iuka this weekend. But taking a look at those heat indices, still not helping us out much. We are still seeing those heat indices pretty much felt in the mid 90s, but we are getting closer to fall. I promise, just 2 days away, I believe. But taking a look at the 7-day forecast, we can see those dry conditions return for our Saturday, maybe some afternoon showers trying to pop up as we continue into the afternoon for our Saturday. But the most meaningful chance of rainfall this weekend will be on Sunday. And I think that'll be more later in the afternoon and into the evening and nighttime hours. But we see those dry conditions get replaced for our Monday before we see those rain chances start to return back for our Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But Wednesday will be the big day. That's where we can expect to see a cold front start making its way through. So we can see our percentage the highest and also some storms moving on through the area. But temperatures, that will be the big story. We are finally seeing mid 80s back towards our normal high and seasonable temperatures return here in North Mississippi. But of course, if you haven't downloaded the app yet, we appreciate all of y'all that have already downloaded it, but appreciate it if y'all can give it the download. We appreciate everything you've done for us here. We cannot do this without y'all, and it helps give us alerts, especially for days like this, for something that wasn't severe, but still some hefty wind damage, maybe some trees falling down and some hail. I know Gabe shared a video that I would love to show y'all at the 6 or 10 o'clock as well, but it's definitely a necessity to have as we get closer and closer towards the severe weather season as well. But I will be back live here tonight at 6 and 10 as we wrap up our work week. But then, since tomorrow is thankfully officially the weekend, we will be back towards just a live show at 6 and 10. So ignore the morning shows, ignore the 5 o'clock show. It'll just be me giving y'all everything y'all need to know for y'all Saturday and Sunday at 6 and 10. So y'all go out, enjoy the rest of y'all's Friday evening, and I'll see y'all live back here tonight at 6 and 10.
Up here's where your biggest risks hide: leaks, mold, and expensive damage. Most commercial roofs fail slowly until they fail big. Why rip it off when you can restore it? Our silicone coatings stop leaks, prevent mold, and extend your roof life without the high replacement cost. It's a 30-year watertight roof, energy efficient, leak-free, and half the cost of replacement. And it's backed by GE's manufacturer warranties. Facility managers love this. No disruption, no tear off, and long-term protection for your property. Trust Absolute Restoration for your commercial roof.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable. The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.